Do you need a helping hand getting on the property ladder? With up to a £1,000 bonus a year, a lifetime ISA from the Nottingham could help you hit your deposit target quicker. Open with £10 for ages 18 to 39, available online. Save up to £4,000 a year with a 25% government bonus up to £1,000 a year. Visit thenottingham.com to find out more.
So, Kevin, welcome back to the show. You've been on this before. How are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing all right. Just trying to navigate this whole thing. Unfortunately, the season got canceled, but that's in the world we're living in right now. So I just got to deal with it.
And I should really have said hello to Coach Kevin, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I know. It's with all this time I've had recently without playing. You got to keep yourself in the game. You got to keep your mind active in the game as well. So I've been coaching goalies for many summers, but now recently with all this time on my hands, I've made it official. I got a logo and all that stuff, and I'm trying to increase my social media presence and gain a little bit of a following. So I like working with the kids, and that's a good part of the game is you can give back to it, right? So the game's given me a lot, so I'd like to give back to it as well.
Is that always? It sounds like that's something that's always interested you. Then that side of like you coaching kids and things like that.
Yeah. Just growing up in the summertime, it's hard to get a job because like a standard job, because you're only home for 2, 3, maybe 4 months in the summertime, and then you're back playing to wherever. So working with kids in hockey camps or doing your own thing is really one of my main things in the summer that I do. So this is just an extended summer.
At least it keeps you on the ice.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I said, if you're telling kids constantly little tips and little things on the ice, it keeps your mind active too. So when I get on the ice, I hear the same things that I'm saying to them. I hear it in my own head, so it's good.
Every time when you're on the ice, and you just like in the back of your mind, you hear Tim's voice shouting at you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Enough, Tim.
Oh no, he's not there.
Yeah.
So looking back at like season 2019-20, it's in the books now. There's been a lot of time to sit and think and look back at it. When you look back at the season you had in Nottingham, what are the instant reactions, instant thoughts of the year you had here?
From a team side, it was very disappointing the way it ended, because I felt like, we were really starting to gel as a team. Obviously, we had a really tough stretch in the start of the season. And then I think from once we broke out of it, 15 games in, whatever it was, I thought we were the best team in the league, to be honest with you. No disrespect to any of the other teams, but I thought we were a full, well-rounded package. And the fact that the season got cut short was disappointing, because I really felt like we could have done some damage in the playoffs.
And is it a bitter taste that it got cut off, or is it more of an unfinished business kind of taste?
Yeah, it's out of our control, right? So to be bitter about it is I don't think that would be the right feelings to feel. If it was something that we had done as a team that got cut short, the season got cut short, then that's one thing. But like I said, it was out of our control, so it's just disappointing.
And going into that weekend against Belfast, and I spoke to Guy Doucette about this. He says everybody reacts differently. Single guys react differently to guys in relationships, react differently to guys with families. What were you thinking and feeling going into that week? Because obviously it's a bizarre scenario where you have to go on a road trip where it's not just a road trip, you're going away for a weekend. Where was your mind at going into that weekend?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a whirlwind, because all this stuff started coming out, and we really didn't know how serious it was or what it really was. If the NHL cancels their season, you're thinking to yourself, like, this must be pretty bad. And then all the leagues started canceling their seasons, and it was a little different, because you're thinking family wise, you want to stay safe and do all that protocol and all that stuff before it came out. And then like you still want to win a hockey game. You're still on a road trip, and you're kind of thinking, okay, this is a really important weekend for us, and Belfast was a good team. We have to do well this weekend to put ourselves in a good position. But then, it's kind of a conflicting scenario where it's like, do we play? Should we play? Yes, we're playing. So it was very strange. I really didn't know how to feel, to be honest with you. I felt bad for the fans that traveled there, thinking that they're going to watch a good weekend of hockey, and then they get there and it gets canceled. So that was disappointing to see all the fans stay outside the hotel and kind of see us off, right? So that was disappointing for them too, I'm sure.
It's like the picture that I think Tim or Guy sent me, this picture of like people outside the hotel. It's like, it was heartbreaking because it's like they just got there just as the news came out that Belfast couldn't. The Belfast had to put a few players into quarantine or whatever, and that was it then.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking to see because you travel so far and there's such great loyal fans that they come all this way to watch us play, and unfortunately it gets canceled. But it's just the way things were going.
And when the news actually does drop, I'm not going to like. Is it relief that you finally have an answer to what's happening? Like you actually then can compress it and understand it a bit more and actually work things out rather than just taking it an hour at a time.
Yeah, once decisions are finally made, I think it's a little different. But then, like we just talked about earlier, then it's the disappointment sets in where it's like, well, we had a good thing going, and now it's just going to get cut short. And especially the way the season ended, sometimes when you go through the playoffs with teams, and whether you go far or you don't go far, you kind of have some sort of closure with the team, and maybe you have a last end of the year party, or you get together with the guys one more time before everyone disperses for the summertime. And we didn't really have that. It was kind of, okay, jump back on the bus, go home, book flights, and as soon as you can get out, get out. So it was a mad scramble, and I felt like it wasn't really the ending that we had wanted from a hockey side, and also not an ending that we wanted from a team and a personal side. We had such a close-knit team that year, and it was probably one of the closest knit teams that I've ever played on, and that was sad to see that it ended like that.
And then talking about the team, it went through not many changes, a few little changes as the season went on, but the big turning point everyone looks back to is that game against Fife where Sam scores with like 40 seconds to go. Before that, I did an interview with him where he came out and seemed to like just vent all of his things. And from what I understand, there was no secrets in that room. But how did you react to that interview when it came out?
There was no secrets. We were struggling. There's there's no two ways about it. We were struggling, and I felt like we were doing all the right things that Tim was talking about. You put a plan in place before every game, before every practice, and we, for whatever reason, just weren't executing those plans to the best of our ability. And sometimes it takes a heroic event like Sam scoring and to turn it around, whether it's, maybe it's a fight, maybe it's a nice goal, or a save, or a good hit or something in a game to turn it around in the game. But for whatever reason, that really turned our season around. And then I felt like after that, we were even more of a tight-knit group than we were to start the season. And I'm a firm believer in saying that if you can go through some hardships at the beginning of a season, and once you get over that little bit of a hurdle, the rest of the season is a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but it's a little easier in the sense that you can get over things that aren't going your way quicker than if you didn't have those hardships at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, that was the best time for us to go through a struggling period, which is another reason why it was so disappointing for us not to make it to the playoffs, because we'd already kind of been through that whole tough stretch. And if we had it in the playoffs, if we were going through a game where it wasn't going our way, we had that to lean on. But for whatever reason, that kind of turned our season around, and we became such a better group.
And like, as a netminder, like you don't have much control over what happens in front of you. You kind of just have to deal with like yourself. But it was always just one little thing in a game, like we weren't getting blown out. It was always just like one little thing that went wrong or one bounce that just went crazy. So they were
Yeah.
never far off. It just needed that one thing to tip the other way. And like you
Right.
said, from then on, like statistically, the number one team in the league, hands down, from October 26th onward.
Yeah. Yeah. It's momentum sometimes can go in your favor or not go in your favor. And, I'll put it on myself where I needed to be better in the net in front of the guys. And, I felt like I was playing okay, but there was another level that I needed to bring to the table and really help our team win.
And you really hit that next level, especially in November and December. So I think at that point your stats like you were almost at one goal against the game, like 97, 98% save percentage for those months and stuff. Do you feel that difference in your game when it's, or does it just feel the same as a netminder?
Um,
Because you hear the expression, you see it like a beach ball. Is that actually a real thing, or is that just pundit talk?
Yeah, I think when you're going through a little bit of a tough stretch like we were, it's when you really double down in practice and really put in the time to get better. And, sometimes you don't see the results right away, but it'll catch up. The hard work you put in will catch up later on when we can get over that hurdle. And I think not just for me, but for the whole team, we really focused in practice and tried to make every day important. And I commend Tim for really pushing us in practice and making game-like scenarios in practice. Sometimes you can go through the season where you're just doing drills all the time and you don't really get that game-like experience and that competitive nature that the hockey game produces. So we would play games every practice. And yes, it's a fun thing to do at the end of practice, but it's so competitive. And we had guys that, were battling so hard, potentially it looked like there could have been fights on the ice. And that's just how competitive guys were. And it was fun to be a part of and fun to watch because that's going to translate onto the ice. It's not going to be your standard drills, go around, shoot the puck and get off the ice and go home for lunch. But when you can get a good competitive atmosphere going, it's going to translate to the games.
And that is what, like you mentioned, how close this group was. That competitiveness, that is what brings them even closer together when you do that to each other in training.
Yeah, we had a lot of guys that had played very high levels in North America, and once you have that, a lot of all hockey players have that competitive nature, and when we can all bring it together in a positive way, that's even better.
And you mentioned fun, and every time I talk to North Americans, the first time they ever hear of a testimonial game is when they actually play in one. How did you find Lacko's testimonial? And did you know what one was?
Honestly, I had no idea what it was until we got on the ice. I just was going along with it as much as I could. Testimonial, you hear the word testimonial, I'm like, are people like judging us? Or I didn't know what was going on. Like, are they giving good or bad reviews on our games? Like, and then, to see the whole thing transpire, it was such a cool event. And I wish I had a little bit more knowledge, and that's just how naive I was, I guess. But I wish I had more knowledge on what it was before it was happening so I could really soak it in more. But that was such a cool event. And I'm really glad I was a part of it.
Did you have any interactions with any of the, like Craig Kowalski came over, Jordan Fox? These are all names in Panthers folklore. Did you have any interactions with any of the legendary players, the past players who came over?
Yeah, and at one of Lacko's dinners, it was at the cricket field, and we sat at a table full of all those guys, and we just heard stories of past teams and past players and everything, and it was amazing to be a part of that, because you got a sense of what was going on before you got there, and then it translated to the game, and got to sit with them in the room, and those guys are still competitive as well. They like to win. If you look at David Lang, he was kind of scored every moment he could.
He buried Bulmer on his first shift.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's competitive nature. That's in you for good. That doesn't leave you.
And from what I heard at that cricket event, Jordan Fox may have given somewhat of a speech to the team, from what I understand.
Yeah, it was a good speech. I think we all needed to hear. he had just talked about how we needed to have more fun. We just weren't having enough fun. And that was the time when we were struggling heavily. And, I think he was watching some of the games and he could see the talent that we had as a group, but we needed to just bring that talent together and having some more fun, whether it's on the ice or off the ice, as they say. We needed to have some more fun and really gel as a group. And I think from that moment forward, that event really brought us together more.
But like you mentioned about fun, you could sense that because when Sam scores that goal against Fife and you win, it's this big sense of relief. And after that, it's like the weights come off your shoulders, and you just like we mentioned earlier, you just kept rolling from then. Did it feel like that as soon as that ended that game and you won, that it was
Yeah.
like, oh, thank God, now we can get on with the season.
Yeah, it was, like you said, a weight lifted off your shoulders. But then the work starts over again. You can't just let up because you won one game. You got to keep working, keep battling even harder than when you were struggling. So, yeah, we enjoyed that night, and I think it really brought us together.
I don't think like you played pretty solidly throughout, but I think your big coming out party was that double header at home against Belfast. We won 4-1. Then the second night you get the second afternoon you get the shutout. Did you think that's where that started to turn for like you personally, and that's when you went on that incredible, like brick wall type of run?
Yeah, I think that that weekend was important for me. I would say that weekend really made me feel more comfortable at home because I felt like I was playing well on the road, and I saw more results on the road than I did at home. And I think that maybe the fans really kind of let up a little bit after that weekend as well. You see all the tweets and you see all the posts on, what they think the team should do with certain players. And you got to kind of block that out a little bit and just play your game. So after that, I really felt like I was a little more comfortable there.
Well, I know it's a different world now, but I remember when Craig Kowalski made his debut, and social media wasn't really a thing then, but fans were at the time tweeting saying he gave up too many rebounds, he wasn't very good. And look at the career he had in Nottingham. You've got to give guys new to the league a chance to settle up, because that's a real thing. You've got to give a chance. Like you're moving halfway across the world to play a game that's your job, and you've got to settle into everything.
Yeah, it's a little bit of change, culture change, and you're living in a different place. You're trying to navigate where the grocery stores are, and it's, as fans, I understand it's that's not their problem. They want to see results right now, and we as players, we recognize that, we understand that. We've been playing for a long time. We understand the whole business side of things, but on a more personal note, we are still human beings. We do have insecurities. We do have an adjustment period that needs to happen when you go to any team. So I think that weekend kind of helped me, and maybe help the team as well.
And then, what is your like? I've seen like after some games where fans have tweeted, I've noticed that you've liked them because it pops because we're tagged in it as well.
Yeah.
But is your way dealing with it like to accept, like just read it and accept it and find a humor in it, or do you like just shut off from it at a certain point? The social media side of things.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, some things that people say are quite funny, actually, and whether it's about me or someone else, I can appreciate a good funny tweet or funny comment or something like that. So yeah, sometimes I'll like it, and it's kind of a way for me to deal with it that way. But other things are kind of mean, to be honest with you, and you kind of have to shut them out. But yeah, no, I like to have fun with it.
It's the same way you look at it, like the way journalists talk about it when they're like like on like a show like First Take. The big thing is attack the performance, not the performer.
Right.
That's the general rule of thumb with like what how journalists take, and that's what I think should be the case. Attack the performance, not the performer, because they're not doing it badly on purpose.
No, exactly. And that's, when we were going through our tough stretch, that's what I would always tell fans. I would just say, we're trying. We're not trying to lose. I promise you that. We're really trying to win, and we want to play well for you fans. And like you said, attack the performance, not the performer. We're still human beings, and we do make mistakes, but it's a performance-based business, and that's the reality of it. And if that's not something that you can deal with on a regular basis, then maybe, it's time to look for something else. And we all understand that.
And then you get from that weekend against Belfast straight into the Continental Cup. Were you excited to play in that competition?
I was, yeah. I really didn't know what to expect. I knew it was going to be a good experience. Another chance for our team to come together and enjoy that. So yeah, I was excited. I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited.
Were you hoping for a bit more of an eventful town?
It's always tough because I've played in lots of different cities over my career, and you really don't experience any of the city. People are saying, "Oh, you've been to so and so, or you've been to that city or this city," and I was like, "Well, I saw the rink and I saw the hotel, but I didn't really see any of the city. I didn't see what it had to offer." So yeah, that really didn't bother me. It was cool to be over there, and the hotel was beautiful.
It was a nice hotel.
The rink was unbelievable, and they treated us really well there. We had a nice dressing room, and the fans were awesome. They were really engaging too, and our fans who traveled over there I've never seen anything like that. That was unbelievable. So it made us really feel like home too.
And then you say unbelievable. The atmosphere of that final game against the hosts under Yuska, that noise in that arena was incredible.
It was incredible, and unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of people that could see that other than the fans that were there. You saw them on YouTube and the live feed, but you really don't get a sense of the passion.
Those big drums they had, and all in sync and things.
Exactly, and the singing and the passion that the fans have for hockey, and it was awesome to see and be a part of.
And that game was kind of built up as Kevin Carr versus Patrick Galbraith, Panthers past versus Panthers present. Did you speak? And it didn't go well for Patrick. He's going to be on this at some point. But did you speak to him at any? Because did you get any chance to talk to him?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. He's a very good goalie, and I know his past from being with the Panthers, and he's had a great career. And I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a battle between us, and I wanted to prove to our fans that they made a right decision in signing me. And aside from that, you still want to win the game regardless of who's at the other end.
And then you come back from that weekend, and then the Elite League gets nuts in December. The schedule gets crazy. I think you probably saw it on the calendar. When it got there, were you thinking, "Oh God, I'm gonna have to play a lot of hockey"? But the good thing was you were going into that in the best form of the season for you at that point.
Yeah, I like to play. The more I play, I find that I can get into a little bit of a rhythm and a groove, and that's exciting. It was a lot of hockey. We had played a ton of games. I don't even know how many games it was in December, but at that point, you're almost not even practicing, or when you do practice, it's for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and because you need your rest, and some guys were dealing with injuries, and you need to rest up because the games are more important than the practices are. So it's fun when you're just playing, and you can just kind of get into a little bit of a rhythm. But that was a lot of hockey.
And I know every player goes out to win every single game. Obviously, in the UK, it's a bit different where the league is the main trophy. Did it take you any time to adjust to that kind of mindset, or is it's just for you as a netminder, business as usual every night?
Yeah, I would say business as usual. Even in other leagues like North America or wherever, really, where the playoffs are kind of where you win a championship. You still want to be the highest seed you can possibly be. So it's not like throughout the season you're thinking, if we make 6th place or 5th place, it's not a big deal. We'll play the first place team and we'll be okay. No, it's the same mentality. You still want to win every night. And if you can win as much as you can and go into playoffs with that momentum, then that's even better.
And then it all builds up towards these 2 sets of games on Boxing Day and then New Year's. Now you don't get a lot of time to celebrate Christmas, and like when you came on, we know you're a big Christmas guy. Kind
Oh
of
yeah.
wore this just for you. Uh,
That's good.
and then it comes to this big Boxing Day game against Coventry.
Mhm.
And the first talking point in that game, there are two big points. The first one is what everyone was wearing. Now, as a netminder, I remember speaking to you after the game, and you said it was a struggle that first period.
It was. I didn't know who was where or who was had the puck or if it was our team or not our team, but thankfully, they switched it up after the first period and we could start playing again. But that was very challenging.
And have you ever seen anything like what Sam did in that game?
Um, what do you mean?
He scored the 4 goals.
Oh yeah. No, that's like
That game.
I've never seen anything like that, to be honest with you. That was pretty incredible. Just, he scores 1, okay, good. 2, wow, 3, hat trick, that's amazing. Like, is anyone is anyone watching this? Because if you're not, like, you should be. And then 4 goals, obviously, was insane.
and that game kind of like shows the life of a netminder. Sometimes it's not how many saves you make, it's which saves you make. And I think after we scored our second or third one tied up, you made a save on a breakaway straight away. And that was kind of like the big and I remember on the commentary, there was like Dan Green and James, they were saying that is the save that could win this game. And when you get into a bit of a fire sale like game like that where it's goal, 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 goal,
Yeah.
is that what you're thinking about? Is it I've got to make it's all about finding that big save?
I don't think you can think of it like that, where you want to make one big save. You just think of one shot. It's cliche, one shot. You think of the first save, and you think of the next save, and the next save, and you think of one save at a time as they come. Whether they end up being big saves or not, after the game is finished, then you can think about that maybe after, but you just try to make one save after next and move on from there.
And then you move on to the big weekend against Sheffield. 2 sold out crowds back to back. You don't get any New Year's celebrations, unfortunately, because the games are so close together. What are you looking forward to those two? Because the spotlight is burning brightest in those 2 games. That's 7,500 in Nottingham, 8,500 in Sheffield in back-to-back nights.
Yeah, that was incredible. Every time we played Sheffield, it was nuts. You want to beat them. It was rivalry like you wouldn't believe, and it was incredible to be a part of that as well. Fan base in both arenas are very loyal, and that was kind of like our New Year's celebration.
Or winning in Sheffield in overtime.
Yeah,
that must be the sweetest of all feelings.
it was pretty cool. Before I even got to Nottingham, I heard about the rivalry. So, like I said, to be a part of it was amazing.
I wasn't there. I was watching it on the webcast, but I'm very interested to know how quiet did it go when Sam scored that overtime winner?
It was pretty quiet. Yeah, there's a
Well, that's
picture
good to hear. That's good.
skating back to the blue line with his arms up, and everyone just in the crowd had their heads down, and they
Apart from the one woman in the corner flipping him the bird.
flipping him off. I was just gonna say, yeah, that was amazing. I love to see that. Yeah, that's just how passionate those fans are, though, and just how diehard they are. So that was cool to see.
You mentioned fans then and fans earlier as well. Did it surprise you? Like it always seems to when people come over here for the first time, how the Panthers fans follow the team around the country, even up to Dundee on a Wednesday night sort of thing.
Yeah, that's amazing. The fan base is so loyal. I really didn't know what to expect going over to England, what the fan base would be like, and if they even liked hockey, to be honest with you. I had heard some good things, and I'd heard lots of positive things about the league and the fans and the organizations and all that. So to see it firsthand was really cool.
Well, then to take Sheffield out of the equation, are there any, because it's obviously the big one, are there any other rinks that you liked visiting? Like, did you like the bigger arenas? Did you like going to like Fife where it's a bit more hostile? Were there any arenas that you like going to?
I like to play in Cardiff. That was always fun. They had good fan base, and obviously they had a really good team, so that was a good place to play. I really can't say there's any rinks I didn't like playing in. Every rink has their unique abilities. Like even going to Dundee, that was, it's a nice arena too. And um, going to places like Guildford, where it's a little more intimate. It's a smaller arena, but fans feel like they're kind of on top of you because the stands are so high. Um, so that was pretty neat too. And they're behind you, so they're banging on the glass, and you can hear them behind you as well. And um, it was cold in there, but yeah, it was a good rink.
And you also got the difference between like on a Saturday night you could be playing in Nottingham on the big ice, and then on Sunday you go to Manchester where it's smaller. And
Yeah.
from what I understand, that means that the pucks are coming at you quicker, everything happens faster. Is that a hard adjustment to make night to night?
It's a little different, yeah, because the game happens a little faster in places like Manchester, where you think you'd have lots of time either behind the net or in the corner or on a power play, like on the half wall, um, in a rink like ours. And then you get to Manchester, and it's like every opportunity where guys have the puck in the offensive zone is a scoring opportunity because they're so in tight, it's so close. So that really brings a whole different element to it. It's almost like a little at home here. We have little 3-on-3 rinks where they're smaller ice surfaces and things happen quick, and they're mainly for little kids because the ice surface is usually so big that they can play on it and feel like it's a big ice for them. But yeah, no, it's a different kind of game, different atmosphere, and you just have to adjust to it because it's the same for everybody.
And the other thing about the Elite League is the schedule, because a lot of the time you're playing 2 games at a weekend, nothing else, 2 games at a weekend, nothing else. Did you find that easy at first, or did you take some time to like not playing midweek? Like, 'cause I know sometimes in North America you'll play 3 games, do play on a Wednesday or Saturday, and it was nice and spread out. Whereas here it's very spread out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a college schedule. Um, it was a little different. I haven't played like that kind of a schedule in I don't know 5 or 6 years. And at the start of the year, when we would play 2 games, then we'd have the whole week off and like of just practicing, and then 2 games, like you said. Um, if you do struggle at the beginning of the season with those couple games, it's a long week to think about what went wrong. And if you can play, let's say on a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon, and then you play on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, it's a short window and short memory of you just have to worry about the next game and you don't worry about the last one. But with the whole week off, you're constantly thinking, okay, what went wrong? What do we need to change? What happened? And sometimes it's easier to just go right into the next game than it is to think about. So that was a little different.
Going into next games. Final round of the Continental Cup comes around. You're getting ready for 3 more games in 3 nights.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that first game, maybe one of the ugliest games that happened all season. It just was not pretty on any level.
No, it wasn't. We didn't have it that night. That's for sure.
But for the width of a goalpost in overtime,
Mhm.
that was the tournament. And
Yeah.
when you look back at it, is it an achievement, to have come second and to represent the Elite League, or is it like frustration that it's because that's hockey, like that is hockey, like that's what the game's about.
Yeah, it's a game of inches, right? Just like they talk about it in football, um, American football. That's a game of inches, and it's the same in all sport. Whether you're looking at tennis and it's on the line by that much or outside the line, and yeah, it's frustrating sometimes when things come down to such minute differences.
I've had like Olympians on here and stuff, especially from the Team USA, and we always agree on the one premise that no game like that in the championship competition should be decided in a shootout. It should always just keep playing in overtime.
Yeah, I think that too. Um, but those are the rules, and we had to deal with it. And I needed to be better, kind of throughout the whole season, to be honest with you, with shootouts and shootout losses. We just couldn't get it done, and I needed to be better. And it's something I really focused on in the summertime, getting better at. So it was frustrating to me because for the past number of years, I've always been good in shootouts, and for whatever reason this year, I just wasn't my thing. So I focused this summer on really trying to get better at them.
The one question I've always wondered about is like, do you prefer a breakaway or do you prefer a penalty shot? Which one is preferential for a netminder, or does it just depend on who the netminder is?
It's a little bit different because in a game scenario, they're thinking that somebody's chasing them the whole time. So
Mm.
maybe they don't feel like they have enough time on their with the puck on their stick. So they might choose to shoot sooner than they actually would, or make a quick deke instead of in a shootout setting. They know there's no pressure coming from behind them, so maybe they can make one extra move or one extra fake because they know that someone isn't going to lift their stick and take the puck from them, right? So it's a little bit different. You have to be patient as a goalie, be patient and try to let them make the first move and not bite too soon.
The one like somewhat positive of not winning that Continental Cup thing is that we all got to see George Golovkov have the greatest goal celebration of all time.
Yeah, he's a
What was your view
character.
of that from the bench?
Yeah, he's a character on and off the ice, that's for sure. But that was funny to see.
I've never seen someone toe pick and just plan. There's a great, I
I
think it's
know.
a mark over the top of him just laughing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
my
yeah,
favorite. When you get back from that competition, I can't remember if the Challenge Cup was next up. I think it was. You know, the series against Cardiff. You have that crazy game down in Cardiff Bay, where it's 5-5. Mister Clutch Julian Talbot comes up
yeah.
big in the last minute, and then you have this like really weird game at home in the second leg. First of all, how did you find the whole aggregate thing? Because that's another new thing you have to get used to when you come to England.
Yeah, that was a little something different as well. Um, that whole tournament is kind of weird, and I really, to be honest, I still don't really understand the whole premise of it throughout the season. It's like a tournament within the season, and I don't really understand
A
what
lot
the
of people
whole.
think it'd be better off at the start.
Yeah, I get it. Don't I understand it, but I don't understand if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's a tournament within the season, but then you have a lot of preseason games, and then you have the regular season, and then the cup games where you're going off into different countries and seeing different things. So that was a little something to get used to as well. Um, but yeah, every time we played Cardiff, it was kind of a battle. So that was fun.
And that was kind of another Cardiff coming back and winning that game in our ring. That was kind of another kick up that you needed for the rest of the league push, wasn't it? That kind of gave you that extra impetus to really knuckle down in the league after that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And as much as those games count, I would say that the regular season is a little bit
Mm.
more important. So maybe we could use those games as far as teaching opportunities and trying something that we could translate to the regular season.
I think that things just kind of just there's no like big note. The last noteworthy moment is the addition of Matthew Tuzignan to the roster. And then you mentioned characters that he added
Yeah.
a little bit something different that wasn't in the team before.
Yes. Yeah. He brought a lot of energy. Definitely stirred things up on the ice, and was able to pop in a few goals for us too, which was awesome. And he's just a really good teammate, really good guy, and always brings a positive attitude to the rink. And yeah, I can't say enough about Tuesday. He's a great guy, a great teammate.
I can't imagine playing against him because I remember when he first got there, I interviewed him. It was a 2 minute interview, and I was tired afterwards. I love the guy, but he wore me out after 2 minutes.
Yeah,
It was like a whirlwind had hit me. I wasn't sure what had happened.
yeah, yeah. It's a little different with the accent too. I'm sure it's hard to navigate through that, but no, he, like I said, he was a really good teammate, really good guy, and I'm glad to see that he's still playing, and um, I'm sure he's stirring the pot over there as well.
Then talking about teammates, the big consistent thing in British teams is the British players. How
Mhm.
important were they for helping you get settled in that team? You know, guys like Ollie and Lacko and Tats and people like that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially guys that were already that have been there for a long time, so they know the lay of the land, um, and they were vital and important players for our team. Like I would have picked those guys on our team any day of the week, and it was really good to be playing with them. Really nice to see different culture and how they grew up, because we wouldn't really understand that growing up here, and they were all really good guys, really good teammates. And we talked about earlier about how our core group of our players were all tightly knit, and they were some of the glue that were holding us together as well. I can't say enough about those guys.
You got talk about Ollie, a guy who just does not stop somehow. His engine is also, and he'll throw himself in front. He needs to shoot more. Everyone tells him he needs to shoot more, but he'll throw himself in front of any shot that's coming towards your goal when he's out there.
Yeah, he really lays his body on the line, goes in the corner a million miles an hour, and tries to feed the puck. I think he was playing with Sam quite a bit, and he was a workhorse on that line for sure. He's got an NHL shot. He can really fire that puck. I've played with a lot of good players, and his shot is right up there with some of the best that I've played with. And that's one thing I told him probably day one. Is I said to him, I'm like, man, you can really fire the puck. Like, I'm expecting 50 goals out of you this year. And so every day I told him, keep shooting, man, keep shooting. Like, something is going to go in. And Lacko, all those guys, Tetz and Kels and Hazel, all those guys, they were really vital to our team.
And then the one guy who I always feel an obligation to boost his ego on here for some reason. I promised him a compilation clip of all the nice things people say about him. Is Goody. What does Goody? Tell me what Goody brings. Explain what Goody brings to that room.
He just brings a sense of calm, and I think a lot of staff members try to do when things can get pretty crazy. And Goody was just every day, just the same. Calm and joking around, keeping things light in the room, and never took things too seriously, and just a good human being who was willing to do anything for us. Those guys work so hard, making sure that our jobs on the ice are easy, and behind the scenes, maybe we don't really understand of all the things that they do just to get our equipment ready, get our skate sharpened, make sure we have enough sticks, and order equipment if we're getting low on things. And like I said, making our jobs easier. Those guys work long hours. They stay late. They arrive early, way before we get there, to make sure that we're ready to go. And Goody, is, aside from the hockey side, is just such a good human being. Would do anything for anybody, and I feel very lucky to have met him.
And then the last person I'll focus on is Mr. Nottingham Panthers, and again, the word character comes up a lot. Is Rick Strachan.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about your experiences with Rick, because he was obviously not around as much. He's around on game days and a few practices and things at the start of the season.
Yeah.
He is. He'll tell you he'll tell you how he feels. But yeah. He's a guy who's been around, seen it all. What does he bring to that room?
Yeah, like you said, a little bit of truth is what you need from coaches. Sometimes you need the honest truth, and Rick's a guy that will give it to you, whether you like it or not. And it's something that everyone needs to hear on a consistent basis. And it was nice having him at the start of the season through training camp, being there every day and telling us, what he saw. It was nice to have when I arrived anyways, it was nice to have another Canadian face there that really made me feel a little bit more comfortable. And, that Canadian accent really made you feel like you're at home. And, Rick's just such a good guy, and would do anything for the team as well. So it was important to have him.
And then we talked about the end of the season. Like it just like the only unfortunate thing is that the last game at home was a loss against Coventry in a shootout, albeit. But I think the kind of the one of the big one everyone is that last game against Cardiff, because that was really a statement at home to beat them 7-2, 7-3, or whatever it was. And that was it's really about a packed out crowd. That was massive, and that was why everyone was so excited about the Belfast weekend.
Yeah, and we had talked about that earlier, how we were really starting to get into a roll and into a rhythm, and that was a tough one to swallow, especially the one at home. But the win was unbelievable.
At some point, had people started telling you about playoff weekend at this point? Like, were you getting like the sense of what this event was? Because the only thing I've heard it ever compared to is the Frozen Four. Like this one like big celebration of hockey in Nottingham. Like, were you
Yeah.
getting told about that, and then you kind of get that excitement taken away from you because you're getting told about this really cool, different event that you end up not being able to play in?
Yeah, and that was really disappointing too because I really wanted to see it firsthand and I wanted to experience it and have all those fans come in and everyone takes a section and it was kind of like that's exactly what it was, a Frozen Four type thing where all the colleges come together and the fans come together, all the college fans and have a big kind of a big celebration, a big party. And I was really disappointed not to be able to see that. And hopefully I can get back there and see it in the next coming years and experience it because everyone that I had talked to said it's just an amazing weekend.
And what did you think of Nottingham as a city? Did you enjoy the city? Because it's like it's almost, it is a big city, but it's smaller than London. But it feels, because it's a weird place to be because it's big, but it's not.
I really love the city, to be honest with you. My girlfriend and I were over there and she really loved it too and enjoyed it. Like you said, it's a smaller city, but it feels kind of big with all the restaurants and all the bars and things to do and all the events that happen in the square. I'm like you said, a huge Christmas guy, so I love the Christmas celebrations that were going on there too, and the rink and all the vendors and you could see all the different foods and that was amazing. And my parents came over and they couldn't believe that the type of city that it really felt close knit to, and that was awesome. And I really enjoyed it. I'm missing it right now.
So I was going to ask you, do you miss it? Because it sounded like you really, because like you started to, when you mentioned the Christmas market and things,
Yeah,
it then comes back into your head and you think, oh yeah, I really like to walk around that.
yeah. No, it's it's disappointing right now. In another month or so, I think the Christmas market was starting up, so it's
And then
disappointing.
I guess one positive is that you got to spend Canadian Thanksgiving at home, and you'll
Yes.
get to spend Christmas at home. Which I like. Yes, you're not at the Christmas market in Nottingham, but being able to, like, for a hockey player to spend the holidays at home must be pretty sweet.
I haven't been home for Canadian Thanksgiving in 10 years. So for me to be home with the family under a little bit different circumstances where we couldn't all be together, but it was nice to be home. And I'm hoping that I can find a place to play before Christmas. So if I am home, then that'll be special. But if I'm not, then it means that I'm continuing my hockey career. So
Be
it's
good on either level.
that's right. Yeah.
How often are you in, like, talking to Guy Doucette about like the situation over here and things? Because obviously at one point it was changing day to day. They were looking to go in January, and
Yeah.
then that got scrapped because of all the government restrictions that have been put in. And like, some
Mhm.
leagues like Austria and things, they get government funding. We haven't had any of that yet or anything like that. How
Yeah.
often are you talking to Guy and finding out about the landscape in the Elite League?
I would say I talk to him maybe every couple weeks, something like that. When he would say there's an owners meeting or a government meeting or something like that, we'll know a little bit more information. I'll keep you updated. And we maybe talked a handful of times, but there wasn't too much information that he could give me, unfortunately, too, because he was just waiting for other people to talk to him and give him information. So I felt bad for him because guys, I'm sure, were calling and being like, "What's going on? Is there going to be a season? Is there not? Are we coming over? When are we coming over? What's happening?" And he's like, "Well, I don't have any information for you." And that's the worst part about this whole thing, I think, is that nobody really knows anything. So that
And
was frustrating, but
And from what I understand, Guy was very transparent about, the fact we don't know what's happening. Whereas, and other teams will remain nameless, but other teams were telling players, "Oh yeah, we're going to be going." Whereas
yeah,
Guy was very honest with people about what the situation was. And then,
yeah,
as a player, you must appreciate that from him, because his position is all about trust.
sure. And you look on elite prospects and the transactions and you see guys signing extensions or signing new players. You see teams
Yeah,
signing new players and you're like, well, what do they know that
yeah.
we
It's
don't
not a
know?
secret who I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, well, is there information that they have that we don't have? Like what's going on? And at that time I'm thinking too, I'm saying, okay, well, from my own personal standpoint, if this season's not going, like I need to look for something else. I still want to play. So, um, kind of let me know, but and no one had really any information. And then other teams were still selling season tickets.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, well, they must think that their season's going to go, and then for our team, we were not really signing guys, and Guy was saying, like, I'm not really sure what other teams are doing, but right now we're kind of on hold, and that was frustrating to see. But
So when you see all that happening, and then the thing comes out that the league's not happening, does that then make you appreciate what he was telling you more than if it
sure,
had gone ahead? Because if it had gone
yeah,
ahead, obviously they were right and he was wrong. But because what he was saying evidently came true, that must make you appreciate like what he was telling you, rather than just saying, "Oh yeah, it's going to be January, it's going to be this." Like that, it takes the time for that to set in because you need the actual news to come out.
sure, yeah, honesty. Just how we talked about Strax, like.
Hmm.
I just want honesty, and I think every player just wants honesty, whether it's good news or bad news. Just give me the honest truth of what you think is going to happen. I understand that not many people knew what was actually going to happen, but just be clear and be honest, and that's all that we can ask for. So yeah, that was good on him.
And are you still in like group chats with players from last season and things? Are you still all keeping in touch?
Yeah, we had a group chat. I switched over my European SIM card for my Canadian SIM card, so unfortunately, I lost that group chat. But we were still talking probably 2, 3, 4 months after the season, and when we were all kind of in quarantine, we were all joking around on the group chat, and it was such a good team, and those guys like Guy and Tim really put together a good team, a good group of guys, and if you're still talking after the season, it's a good group.
And you mentioned like we talked about the fans in this, and you like at the start they're on your back a little bit. You had the weekend against Belfast where it all turned around, and by the season's end, they're chanting, "Is that your Kevin Carr Cup?"
It is actually. Yeah. I brought a few home for my parents. I know, they're so cool.
Well, from what I understand, all Rick Strachan drinks out of is his from the year before. That's all Nicola's got in her glass cupboard is just Rick's face everywhere. Because
That's
he'd say
hilarious.
every weekend he'd be like, "Dan, can you get me some more? Can you get me some more?" I was like, "I'll
Yeah.
try."
Yeah. I know my girlfriend, when she'd come to the games, when it was in the concession stands, she tried to go to every single one and clean them up. I would give her money before the game. I'd say, just go and try to find some here. Just, get some. I got a bunch of them, which is nice.
Like I said, like you said, the fans are on your back a little bit at the start. That weekend against Belfast, we all turn around. And by the season's end, they're chanting "Ooh, ah, Kevin Carr" every single game. Did you feel,
Yeah.
because like Nottingham fans have always had an affinity with netminders? Did you feel that the relationship between you and the fans was uh, getting closer all the time?
Yeah, I would say the more fan interaction we can have on team events outside of hockey to really.
Get to know the person.
Yeah, exactly. And I always try to give my time to fans, because they're giving us their time. They're paying for tickets, and I think it's an important part of our job is to really connect with them on a more personal level. So maybe they would forgive a mistake or something on the ice a little easier. But no, I think that just as a performance side, I think they started to get on my side a little bit as the season wore on. But as soon as they get on your side, if you're not producing on the ice, it can quickly flip flop. So you just try to perform as best you can and hope that they like you. It's not something that you can really control, but if you can play well, then it's going to give you the best opportunity for them to like you.
Did you ever have a chant before?
I'm sorry?
Did you ever have a chant before?
No, that was really cool to be a part of it. And I got chills just when you said it. I got chills thinking about it. So that was amazing.
Then looking back throughout the time, because one of my favorite things, like there's been a lot of like laughs in this, which is what this is all about. This is all about making like these crazy times. We want to give people a good time by listening to this. But is there a moment, an interaction in a game, or just a story from your year in Nottingham that when you look back on it, it makes you laugh?
Oh, there's so many good times. We had a lot of laughs in the room every day. We would laugh about stupid things, or for whatever reason, we really like to get on Hanny and he would always come up with something funny and witty to say in the room. And between Sam and Mark Matheson, they would have a good kind of a little tongue-in-cheek rivalry going on. And in practice, we would have competitions, whether it was scoring competitions or, for me, save competitions. And we just had a lot of laughs inside the room and outside when we would go out to some of the bars at night and travel around the city. And it's we had a lot of good times in the bus as well. I can remember when we were coming back from Belfast, and the season had been canceled, and obviously the flight situation with I guess it was Flybe. Was it Flybe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they went under right before, so we ended up having to take the ferry and the bus. And so we got on the bus and we had a couple drinks on the bus, and we kind of had our year-end meeting or our year-end party on the bus. And that was the other day I was going through some old videos on my phone and some pictures on my phone, and was scrolling through some, and it made me laugh. So yeah, that was one of them for sure.
And then you're always a pretty level-headed guy, and I only ever saw you lose it once on the ice. But
Yeah.
you shoved the net. I think did you shove the net off and then screamed at the referee or something? I can't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
I think
What
I did.
happened there, and what did you say to him? Because I'm very intrigued. Because you're normally very calm, like I said.
Yeah, was that I've been
Oh, it
hitting
was that high stick goal, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. That was it. Yeah.
Hmm.
And even on the replay, I mean, anybody could watch it on the replay. Even the guy came up to me after he scored and he was laughing. He's like, "There's no way that's a goal." And then that kind of solidified it for me, because I was thinking to myself, "Okay, there's no way this is a goal." And I think I would have had a shutout that night because that was the only goal in the game, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
6-1 against Dundee, I think.
Yeah. And that was frustrating too, because they don't come around that often. So, you want to get as many as you can. And aside from winning the game, of course, but yeah, that was really frustrating to me, especially when all the cameras and all the angles and the brand new jumbo screen that we had, and all he had to do was look up, but I guess they can't.
So you mentioned shutouts. You had a few last year. Is there any that stick out particularly? Is it that one against Belfast, or is it one of the other ones that like stands out to you? It was like your favorite?
Yeah, I would say that one against Belfast, or
I can't remember the teams, but I know you had. I haven't got the list in front of me. I know you had more than one.
yeah, we had one where we arrived late. I'm trying to think of who it was. We arrived late to the game.
Would that be in Scotland somewhere then?
Yes, it was. Yes. And we got there late because traffic and the weather was bad, I think, too. And we had like 15 minutes to get on the ice. And Glasgow, it was against Glasgow.
Okay.
And yeah, we got there, and all of us, we didn't have time to warm up before the game. We just got on the ice, put our skates on, got on the ice as soon as we could. And we ended up winning. I think it was 3-0 or 4-0.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, and it was one of those games where it was just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. We didn't think about it. We just went out and played, and it was one of our better games that we had played all season. I felt we did all the little things right. Guys were blocking shots and, like, getting in front of the goalie's eyes, and our power play was working, and we were doing all the right things. And then, to get a shutout there, where it's kind of just like, all right, if we had lost 9-0, it would have been like whatever. We weren't mentally and physically prepared for it, but since all of us were in the same boat, we were just kind of like, let's just play and see how it goes. And I think that was one of my favorites of the whole season.
It's crazy how things like that just come together. It's like, because like the hockey players are so meticulous in your preparation. The way you get thrown into a situation like that, like, because guys, I've never known sports people to have such routines. Like, you have your thing where you go up into the stands before a game and you just like chill out and things. But to have that taken away from you, does it panic you at first? We're like, I can't go through my get ready, or do you try and do something on the coach?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. It's at first you're kind of thinking like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to go through my game routine, and that can sometimes throw you off mentally and can affect your game. But it almost gets to the point where it's just like, it's so far out of your control, and there's nothing that you can do. It's not like you can move traffic, and we can't push the game back. We can't cancel the game. We're already committed to going. We're right there. It's just we're stuck in traffic, and it's so far out of your control that it's kind of laughable. You almost just think it's a big joke almost. It's just like, well, okay, well, here goes nothing. And you rely on your instincts from what you've grown up and played throughout your whole career and your whole life. You just rely on your instincts to play the game, and you just go out and have fun, and whatever happens, happens. And that happened to be a good game for us.
And it's one of my favorite things is to watch everyone go through their pre-game stuff. You got like Julian doing his stretches. You got Brian Conley just walking around with his hands in his pockets, like not a care in the world. Everyone's got these different things. And it's bizarre and it's so beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, no, I've always wanted to write a book on guys' pregame rituals or little things like that. And I sat beside Pearls in the room, and I've never seen a guy wait to the last minute to get dressed before more than him. Like, I would be getting my helmet on, and he wouldn't even have any of his equipment on. Like, he'd have just his jock on, and I'm thinking to myself, like, Pearls, you're gonna be late, man. Like, let's go. We're going out for warm up, and he would beat me out to the rink, and I'd be like, what happened, man? He looked like Superman, just spinning around and put his equipment on.
The complete opposite is I've never seen someone take so long to get changed after a game as Lacko. He'll be still sitting in his shorts when everyone else has left, and it's just him and Goody.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a big fan of doing that after practice. I like to hang around and sit in my equipment and marinate, as they say.
You shouldn't do that, because that's when I come and get you for an interview. That's bad problem. Get out quickly and I'll miss you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then, so if you had to, like, say you want to write a book on it, and it doesn't have to be from Nottingham, but what would you say is the weirdest pre-game ritual you've ever seen?
The weirdest.
This can be the little clip preview for the book when you write it.
Yeah, really. I don't know if I personally have seen too many weird things. I remember reading a book once when I was younger, and I think it was someone playing the NHL. I could be wrong. He might have played for the Leafs, but he was going through a kind of like a scoring surge, and he was dressing in the bathroom. He was getting dressed in the bathroom, and he chose to get dressed in there, and he just kept scoring. So he kept doing it. So I don't know the name of the player. I don't even know if that's 100% true, but it's just something that I heard. And ever since then, it's always stuck in my mind to when I go to new teams, I would watch and see what guys do. And it's weird throughout the season, and whether guys are maybe in a slump or maybe they're doing really well, the both sides of the spectrum. And they create new ones throughout the season, and whether it's tossing tape back to another teammate, like I think it was between Pearls and Ollie this year.
You had that with Goody. You had something with Goody.
Yeah, I was doing some tape things with Goody, and it was weird and stupid, and but it seemed to be working for me, and so I kept doing it. But at specific times, you'd see the pregame clock. You'd see guys get up and go to the bathroom, or get up and shake out their legs or something like that, and it's always the exact same. I think in this playoffs, in the bubble, you saw Henrik Lundqvist go out for his pregame warm-up, and there were two different clips, one on top, one on the bottom, and it was exactly the same. It looked like a replay, but it was exactly the same. If you haven't seen it, you try to check it out. But I would say hockey players are very much creatures of habit. We like things a certain way, and which is difficult for games when like Glasgow, when we couldn't get into those pregame routines and those habits that you're so used to and accustomed to throughout your whole career. So yeah, other than that, I can't, off the top of my head right now, I can't think of any really weird ones. But
and so you mentioned creatures of habit, and we talked about this a little bit before I hit record. Initially, was it a struggle for you to get into the routine of not getting ready for a season in August, in September?
yeah.
Because obviously in the off season you're getting ready for the next season. Has that been difficult? Was that difficult for you to process at first?
Yeah, especially when I had talked to Guy the start of the season, or start of the summer, when we got home, he had said, like, I think there's going to be a decision coming end of July. So we got home in March, and now I'm thinking, okay, because you try to plan out about 4 months of training, off ice training, to get your body ready for the next coming season. You want to peak at the right times, and there's different stages that you go through throughout the summer, where you work on different aspects of your training, and then So you're trying to plan out like, okay, well, if I have 3 months here, what am I going to do? And then July turned into August. August then turned into September. And now your training's completely thrown off. And then the season gets canceled. So now I've been home since March, training, getting ready for a season that I don't know is even going to happen, if it's even going to come. So that's it's been really difficult in that sense, but it's one of those things where you just have to be ready for anything. You have to stay ready. I'm still skating 2-3 times a week and working out every day, trying to get ready for a potential whatever. So it's different.
Do times like this make you appreciate the game even more when it's taken away from you? When it's not an injury, it's not retirement, it's just taken away.
You know what? It's really funny you say that because it's something that internally I've been going through for the last number of months. And, I've often kind of thought like this will be my 7th or 8th season pro. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, how long do I want to keep playing? What is my end goal here? What do I want to accomplish still? And I found it kind of tough, to be honest with you, when it's not something that's in your control. And, when it gets taken away from you and you can't potentially go out on your own terms, like I really don't want this to end my career, but if that's what's in the cards for me, then that's what's in the cards. But to not be able to go out on your own terms, I think is the worst part. And now, you hear about it from guys that played in the NHL or played in any league, when they have to retire, or they're forced to retire, whether it's from injuries or teams just don't want them anymore, or whatever the case may be. It makes you appreciate everything that you had and what you could potentially still have. So I feel now like every time I go to the rink now, I have a different attitude towards the game, and I would say I appreciate everything more now because it's pretty fragile. Your career is pretty fragile. So maybe it's something I needed, to be honest with you.
I'm sure you are not alone in that viewpoint either.
Yeah. And a lot of the guys at the gym where I work out at, just a hockey specific gym, we were talking about this the other day, and they said the same thing. A lot of the guys are older and know that their careers are coming maybe to an end, and they appreciate things differently now than they did.
Like I said, the season didn't end like anyone wanted it to. It's the craziest season finish ever with what was to come. But despite all that, is it, when you look back at your year in Nottingham, is it a year of enjoyment that you look back on fondly?
100%. Yeah. I had a great time. I really, really enjoyed my time there.
Well, I hope you do find somewhere to play in the meantime, but I really do hope we haven't seen the last of Kevin Carr in Nottingham, mainly because I need my merchandise model back.
Yeah, thank you. That was a quite experience too. That's up there for a good moment.
I will never forget, because at that point, I hadn't known you that long.
Yeah.
You're quite a quiet, calm guy, like I said. When you were stood in the middle of Lace Market, clicking your fingers, going makeup, I was like, oh wow, this is different. I haven't seen this side. This is Kevin away from the rink. You were very business at the arena, weren't you? And then when you got out, you expressed yourself. Like when we talk, you do your paintings, you express yourself away from the arena.
Yeah, I have always admired guys that I've played with. I've always admired people and different aspects, not just hockey, but once they get to their place of business or their place of work, that it's business. And then once you leave the rink, or when you step in the doors, it's serious, and you're going to do your job. And then you can have fun within there, but it's you're going there for a purpose. And then once you leave the rink, then it's more time you can express yourself and kind of be more of your own person. And yeah, that was, I guess, the first time that you had seen me a little bit outside the rink. But goalies are often a little different. So
yeah, I found that. I'm talking to quite a few of them at the minute, and you're all a bit. Although what Noura Ratti told me was, she said it's everyone else that's weird.
That's right. That's right. Who somebody had talked about it in the playoffs recently, and they were saying goalies are weird because they stand in front of 100-mile-an-hour slap shots. But guys are standing in front of slap shots like players and blocking shots in the playoffs, and they don't have half the equipment on that we do. So which ones are the crazy ones?
Do you need a helping hand getting on the property ladder? With up to a £1,000 bonus a year, a lifetime ISA from the Nottingham could help you hit your deposit target quicker. Open with £10 for ages 18 to 39, available online. Save up to £4,000 a year with a 25% government bonus up to £1,000 a year. Visit thenottingham.com to find out more.